What's going on, guys? Apex the Entertainer here, running through some patch notes real quick. We got Balance Patch Season 9, Week 4. It's a doozy. So first and foremost, we got a swapped unit here for Dwarves. I cannot believe what they're doing for Dwarves, if I'm being honest. I think this is a pretty insane adjustment. So we've got Runic Protector swapped with Crazed Alchemist. Crazed Alchemist is crazy. I think he's going to be incredible with Dwarves now. Outside of that, Guardsman Bob started turn transfer one of my brews to 3 allies and gain +2/+2. Now it's transfer one of my brews to 3 allies, and then ongoing has +1/+1 for each brew your units have. That is absolutely ridiculous. As we know, we want to go for the tier 4 Borin when you're running dwarves, and then the idea is just to keep putting brews in the pot, right? So you swap all those brews around, and then by the end, you usually have like a couple hundred brews floating around on your board. So very good for tempo. He was kind of useless. I understand wanting to change him, but I think I don't know. I mean, dwarves were kind of, how would I put it? I think dwarves were very binary. They were incredible or they were complete and utter trash because you had key cards you really needed to find early. So I guess they're kind of widening out the things you can find with dwarves in order for them to pop off, which to be honest was probably necessary. I think a lot of people thought dwarves were like insanely broken with these recent changes. I didn't really feel that way. In GM, I don't feel like you see dwarves maintain that well because again, they're just so binary. And then Dwemer Champion, insane change. Attack, your brews give +1/+1 until next turn. Transfer all brews from adjacent units to myself, then give me 2 brews. Now, attack, transfer all brews from adjacent units to myself, then give me the same amount of brews. That is so ridiculous. I mean, if you think about a reset on the brew count for Ori, because by the end of the game, again, you're going to want to have, if all goes well, you'll have a couple hundred brews just on Ori alone. And so to be able to trigger with Ori, hit with, thousands of stats, and then immediately take all of those brews and then the same amount of brews, so double whatever you have on your adjacent units rather than all of them +2, is outrageous stats. We're going to see Dwemer Champion hitting like 10k stats easily. Easily 10k stats. He's going to be some record-breaking stats for this season. Dwarves are going to be interesting. I'm really excited to hop back into Dwarves a little bit. And then Undead changes. So it seems to me like Undead, they're just trying to give a little more oomph to the self-damage Undead meta, which I still don't think is going to be enough. I think Siphi is still going to be the stronger option. She's also so much fun. But I will say self-damage Undead, it can be really cool. So they're adjusting Season of the Witches. Instead of dealing 1 damage to just 3 Undead allies, now it's dealing 1 damage to all of your Undead allies. That's obviously a crazy change, right? It gives you essentially double the amount of scaling from it. And then Infinite March is going from +1/+1 to all of your undead to +2/+2 for all of your undead. Now, the way I see this, rather than thinking that this is a way for us to transition into self-damage undead, is now you have better tempo as you're trying to get to that Siphi undead flow. So you can still play undead and self-damage to support you in the mid game, because that's where Siphi builds tend to struggle, and transition later. I think that's great. I love playing undead. I just made an undead video. I think they are so much fun. So making sure that you can survive a little longer and getting to play more undead, I have zero issues with that. And then dragons. Dragons are getting some help as well. So ongoing for this tier 3 dragon, the first time I see a dragon summon in combat, I devour it to gain its stats permanently. Now it gains those stats and it gets barrier. Still probably not a good card. I never thought it was a good card. I think you're just trying to transition to higher tier dragons faster. So it's okay. Fine for tempo. It'll be kind of a desperation buy at some points and probably necessary for dragons. I feel the same way about dragons that I did about dwarves. When they're amazing, they are amazing, like record breaking stats. When they're bad, they fall apart and you lose faster than with most other factions. So again, giving dragons more tempo for the mid game, zero problems with that. Kugelblitz also got an update. When a barrier breaks, summon a random dragon, devour it to gain half of its stats. Now it is devour it to gain its total stats permanently. I would assume this means that when it's golden, you're gaining double the stats, which is interesting, right? Because the Kugelblitz meta was kind of hard to go for in comparison to just gunning for a Gorathar as soon as you can at tier 5. So I think that's pretty cool. I think it'd be cool to finally see Kugelblitz actually work the way that I think it was supposed to, and be as important as it was supposed to be, because a lot of times you just don't have the space. You hit with the barrier, you don't get the proc, you waste it, and then even if you do hit it, you're getting half the stats. It's like, man, I feel like I have better options. So who knows? Maybe that'll actually be usable. Botsmith, change that I don't understand. I think I think I get a gauge, but I'll have to kind of see it in action. So basically, it's just rather than giving a unit link or removing it, it's either give a unit link or remove it and the module link. So to me, this seems like a nerf if I'm reading it correctly. Again, I have to see it in action to see what I would think. I don't really understand the need for that change if that's the case. So I'm assuming if it's on something like a quartermaster bot, which can accidentally link itself, which I think is the most common use for Botsmith, then you would take away its link and some of its stats. So maybe they just felt like it was a little too easy to churn out Botsmiths and take away the link on quartermaster bot. I don't know. That seems off to me. And then our hero adjustments. Ostawa really needed help. I am thrilled to see her get a change because she just didn't do it for me. I really liked the idea behind her, but you had to just immediately use like all of your blessing spells right from the get-go. So this makes it a little tougher in the early game. So I still probably won't play her if I'm being honest. I mean, I think you could make her, oh man, I don't know. I think you could make her like get two blessing spells at the start of each turn, and then she'd be decent. She still wouldn't be anywhere near the best. So I don't think this is a good enough change. The aura coin spell thing freaks me out a little bit. Like if it's just random, that's kind of garbage. Getting just a single coin spell at the start of each turn, there's much better hero options than that. So iffy, we'll see it in play. I'm sure I'll try her out and see what we think. Bronny Black, I never played this hero myself, so I'm not too familiar. Discover a unit with a random keyword is now discover a unit of your most common faction with a random keyword. Again, don't play them, but I can tell you that's crazy. That's a big change. Being able to narrow your pool to just your most common faction with any cards or any relics is always really good. So might be something I have to scout for a little bit. I don't know though. I don't know if I'm buying any more heroes for Barman through the rest of this meta. I might save up for whoever our next dealer is, because the current heroes I have been good enough to keep me in Grandmasters, so I don't know that I really want to mess with it. Fearless Maiden, actually I'll tell you these next two I also haven't played. Um, give your top left unit a random keyword for each unit or spell in your hand kickstart, versus now give your top left and bottom right unit a random keyword permanently. Um, that's an interesting change. So, I mean, obviously, you know, for each unit or spell in your hand was pretty big for quick tempo. But overall, it seems like it's certainly a buff, right? Getting those permanent keywords, getting keywords on things that can't usually generate keywords for themselves is always super cool. There's lots of cool things you can do with builds when you have that option. So, sounds fun to me. Again, not a hero I have, but an interesting one. If I had the opportunity, I'd probably hop on and try that, because I think you could do really, really cool things with that. And it still gives you the early tempo, which to me is all that matters in the hero that you choose. And then Sylvester. I have Sylvester sitting in my shop available for purchase right now. I have not been choosing to do it because I thought he was pretty garbage. They gave him a buff, so when you refresh the shop, give your units +1/+1 is now +1/+1, but increase that by +1/+1 when you upgrade the shop. So by the end, when you're on tier 5, you'll get +5/+5. Um, per shop refresh with demons, that's, I don't know. It's just, you know, you need more cumulative stats. If it was like increase this by +1/+1 every time you played a golden unit or something, I think that'd be a lot more exciting, but I still think he's just too slow. You know, we need to be finding ways to give things 200 by the end. You know, when you look at like Lady Melissa, she can do that. She can actually do that based on her ability giving you economy. So I'm very partial to economy heroes. None of these thrill me, to be honest. I do think Bronny Black is a crazy change. If you already have Bronny Black and you've liked him before, whoo, baby, are you going to like him now? All right, well, that's everything on the patch notes. Short story is Dwarves, crazy. Undead, fine. We'll take tempo with Undead, never hurts. Dragons, very similar story, not against extra tempo. Botsmith, who knows? Heroes, whatever, Bronny Black's the one I'm most interested in. So if I see him available in the short term, then I might just snag him. That's all I got for you guys on the patch notes. Hope you're enjoying the rest of this season. Very excited to see what we have up and coming. Really, really looking forward to trying to hit that top 10 for GM. So tag along if you want to grind it out with me. Thanks so much, guys.